In every sport, there are many people that are good at the game. There are far fewer that are great. And then there are those precious few that go beyond great. Those that are so immersed in the sport that it consumes them. They are the specialists.
I'm William Lester, and we're here in my studio where I make turkey calls. We're on the banks of the Sunflower River, and I've been very fortunate to live here 38 years, and I've been getting to make turkey calls here almost all that time. Well, I fortunately ran into somebody down at Valley Park about 30 years ago, and he had an old wing bone call on him like that, and I just couldn't believe how it sounded. Well, I tried to play them and make them, and I just couldn't make them sound as good as he could, and so that's when I started developing my trumpet call, and that was about 30 years ago. And all I can tell you is that failure was my best friend. You can't succeed without failure. And so I made a whole bunch of crummy ones before I finally figured out how to add these sound chambers inside the call. Then I can control every single call I make and make them all sound exactly alike. And what you have to do is you have to hunt yourself up some cane. After I cut them, I take a pair of calipers and I measure the cane and I try to find the ones that'll actually fit. And then I use a copper sleeve for the top fitting. And I use a copper foot on the bottom to protect the cane so it won't crack or break. And then the sound chamber slides up inside the call and there's epoxy in there. And then to hold all that together, I use a 257 Magnum Weatherby cartridge. I cut the primer off of it on the lathe. I send the calls off to a friend of mine in Jackson, and he engraves my name on it, and on this one it says cane carbon. So it's obviously a cane call with a carbon fiber insert, and then it has a brass mouthpiece. A lot of people in the industry use acrylic mouthpieces or a plastic mouthpiece called Darrin, and you can see it on that call right there. But I just went to this brass because I think it sounds better, and I think it's tougher and a little more durable. And a lot of people, what we call truncate their mouthpieces. In other words, they bring them to a, kind of a rounded off point. And I found that hard to play on my lip. And so when I designed mine out of brass, I put this big flat brass lip on it. As you can see, it's flat on the end right there. And so when you put that in your mouth, your lip, the fat part of your lip sits on this thing, and that's what actually makes the sound. And so you get a sound that is real bright and clear like that. And I can get it on every call because the mouthpieces are all exactly alike when I get to make them. And the mouthpiece simply slides down into the carbon fiber and makes the call. Now when you're working on these things, a lot of times after I put the calls together, each call has to be hand filed. Here's one that I turn these on a lathe one at a time. I have a friend that helps me. We have a CNC lathe, and these things are all turned to within 100,000th of an inch, so they all sound exactly alike. I was fortunate that so many people wanted my calls that I couldn't continue to turn each one of them myself. And besides that, this acrylic sounds a lot brighter and a lot more powerful than a wooden call does. Made out of Coca-Cola or persimmon maybe, or something really hard, even ebony. This acrylic is even harder than that. And so the sound is brighter and clearer and more precise. So once all that is fitted together, then the calls have to be hand filed, and I file the mouthpieces simply by holding them in my hand like this. Hold the call, hold the file in my hand like this, and I just work on each one of them. I set each tip until they get to be the exact right flatness. Simply hold the file on my leg like that. I know this looks primitive and simple, but it works. And I turn each call. I turn the lip of it until I get the lip exactly right, to where it's smooth on the edges. After I do that, take each call. I do everything by hand, just a piece of steel wool. I don't have a buffer. You know, I don't believe in having the calls all super shiny and all that. So I just buff them by hand. And you get a call that is a true hunting call. Because I know turkey hunters want every advantage. And when you carry a trumpet on you, you're able to make that unique sound. And here again, it's not magic, but it's unique and it's different. And turkeys will answer this call when they won't answer any other. So why not have one of these things with you? You know, all it does is help you just be a better turkey hunter and get a chance to get more turkeys to answer and more turkeys to ride home with you.